Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana, you've played a few freestyle games in your life, and we think this one is nice and short and sweet and has a little punch to it, so why don't you show off one of your quickest wins?
Yeah, this was the game I played against Gukesh earlier this year, second game of the match. I was playing with the white pieces. I started with knight b3. I was just trying to play a solid position, so that was the main goal. So I kind of decided beforehand that I would have a setup where I'm not trying to take the center, but I'm just playing e4, f3, and one of the first things is that this pawn is hanging, so I made sure that he can't attack it. He copied me, which makes sense. I played e4, taking the center, he copied me again, and I played f3. And now my idea was to kind of open the center up, and a draw was very good for me based on the match situation. So trading pieces, all of that was quite good, but he can't stop me from taking the center. So he kind of developed his knight out. We traded pawns. And here, because of the match situation, he decided to play a little bit in a violent manner, which made sense from his tournament, from the match point of view. But maybe the position didn't really call for it, which it was just a very difficult situation for him. Like, he probably could have equalized by, castling long here. I think that was one of the possible ways. Taking d5, things like that would be very logical, but I would have like a tiny edge. So he played f5, which kind of stacks a pawn, but he does have bishop takes a2 in the end. I think he played g6 first. Is that correct? Yeah, g6. So I move my knight back. I have to move it. He takes the pawn. I go back. And he goes, actually, I think g6 was maybe his mistake, because now that he went back with the bishop, okay, he created some imbalance, but the issue is that now, because my knight was chased back to d4, I take, trading knights, and then the defense of the a7 pawn disappeared. So I win that a7 pawn. So now I'm a pawn up, which I think he was hoping that even though I'm a pawn up, my king can no longer castle queenside. I guess you could say it is kind of technically castled queenside, but there's some open lines here, and he was trying to create some counterplay against my king. So he first plays queen e7. His plan, I realized this during the game, was to play bishop g7, move the queen, and castle short, and then aim everything at the queen side. But he starts with queen e7 because he was worried that if bishop g7, that I'll play bishop c5, or queen b4. I think there's these two options, and then he'll no longer be able to castle short, and his king will stay stuck on the queen side, and he didn't want that. So he decided to play queen e7 first, taking away these options, with the plan of doing this, basically. Then taking the a file, and then trying to checkmate me, which is an ambitious plan. The only issue is that it's kind of a very long, it takes a lot of time. I think I played queen a5 here, which had a similar idea. The point was not to take the knight. I didn't really want to win that material, but the point was that very often I'll have this bishop c5 and just bothering his queen and not allowing him to castle. That's why he gave a check. So at this point I realized that I don't want my king on the queen side, but I still have the option to castle short. It's a very long way to go, but if I clear a bunch of pieces out of the way, I'll be able to get there, and then I'm safe because all his pieces are concentrated here. I just need to get there, and again, I'm up the material. So I traded, which made a lot of sense. First of all, I'm getting rid of some pieces in the position. If I trade everything, that would be the way to win the game. I do have the pawn majority and an extra pawn. And so we traded pieces, and now my plan is I move my bishop, I castle all the way to the king side. And so we traded. He played here, this very long castle. And the slight issue for me here is that, let's say I try to go with my plan. He plays rook to a8, challenging everything there. Now if I take, I lose the game. Trading rooks, the queen goes somewhere, and then rook to a1 comes, winning this piece, winning the other rook. And if I don't, let's say I castle, there's another problem, which is that he takes, trades rooks, and then here he plays this really powerful queen c5, pinning the knight, and I have to do something very awkward to save my knight. I mean, it's still pinned, and it's very awkward, and not really what I wanted. Also, my queen is potentially in trouble. It maybe doesn't get trapped immediately, but he can do something like this. He can like go back and then threaten bishop c8, and there's some potential problems. So I didn't want to go for that. Some long lines there. And that's why I didn't play bishop to d3. So I had to kind of prophylactically deal with his idea. Rooks here. So I went back with the point that after he trades rooks, he has nothing better to do because he can't attack me here. I'm too solid, and I'm just going to do this next move or this one. So he has to trade rooks. Now I traded, and the difference is that with the queen on c3, this is why I put it there, I played b3. It gets rid of any rook a1 ideas, so now I'm ready. I can move my bishop and so on. I also deal with the threat of knight a4, and if he gives this check, the kind of nice point is that I actually don't care about my king, being kind of displaced. I just go to d2. Let's say he gives another check. I just cover all the squares. And now I can either castle by hand, which is, we would call this castling by hand, where I just kind of get the king out slowly, or I just leave it in the center because it's surrounded by pieces. And if he were able to teleport this knight somewhere, get it to f4, maybe he has counterplay, but for the moment it's just stuck in this position. And he would have no way to keep attacking me here. So already after the move b3, which I spent some time calculating, it was a classical game and I had a lot of time to make sure that he has no potential tricks in this position, and I definitely made sure of that. He was already in a very desperate situation. Like if he chases me here, my king is safe. If the king stays here, it's also safe, and if I castle, it's safe. So I think the writing was kind of on the wall. He decided to try this with the idea that, okay, I can't play here because the knight is pinned, but I did this. Now I'm threatening to castle already. He could have tried to stop me with rook d8, but I would just trade rooks. My king is also safe here at this point, and again, I am up the pawn. And so he played c5, which is kind of an inconsequential move. It doesn't really do anything. But at this point, he realized the desperate nature of the position, and I castled short, which is a satisfying final move. He did resign here. He could have played on. It's not like he's immediately losing, but I'm up a pawn. I'm threatening to play f4, f5. I have the better kingside pawn majority. I have attacking chances now. My pieces are better placed, his knight's bad, so the writing is pretty much on the wall, and he decided not to try to resist anymore.
Sometimes we castle on move one. Sometimes our king flies across the board. Castling is part of the richness of freestyle. Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana, thanks for showing off your best freestyle game.
Thank you.